Hello, today we're going to show you how to defend yourself against a rear naked chokehold using effective Krav Maga techniques. To defend against the rear naked chokehold, the first thing we need to do is see the first problem with this move. The first problem is that it is a very common and popular technique. Many people know that this type of strangulation means it's easy to lock your arm and head tightly. It can cause the person to lose consciousness or faint. Another problem is that the rear naked chokehold comes from the back and can be used as a surprise. We don't know someone is coming and they come up and start to choke our air by putting pressure on our blood flow to the brain, so we start to lose consciousness quickly. So, to escape this hold, we need to do this. Now we show you this technique step by step. The first thing we do when held in a rear naked chokehold is to try to put our weight a little bit to the side. If it is a strong hold, we will try to put some space between their arm and our neck. The next thing we need to do is to try to get a little air as we can. The third thing is to turn our body and create an opportunity to hit with the side of our hand right in the groin area. Once we are free from the chokehold, we can start hitting again in the groin area with kicks or our knees. This technique is one of the hardest to defend in any type of self-defense. It's a key technique which comes from various disciplines. It creates a very strong hold which is difficult to escape from, and often we can do nothing. So the trick is that we need to be very aggressive and to turn very quickly. As soon as we feel something wrapped around our neck, our training should kick in and make us do everything to protect ourselves. If the attacker has locked us in the chokehold, we won't be able to hit them. That's why we need to try to hit below the belt. In this position, we have several options by hitting them with the elbow or by kicking. Another option is to bend down using our weight to escape and then kick. Of course, if we are locked in, maybe hitting won't work because they are behind us and we can't touch them. We will have to change sides to attack properly, and we can use this variation on the other side. Whether from the inside or outside, it is the same technique. There are different variations depending on whether they are standing, if they bring you to the ground, if they are behind you, or etc. In self-defense, it is best to have a complete picture of the reality of the situation, not just the techniques. For example, a short person doing this is not the same as a tall person doing it, or their weight can change the situation. There are a lot of robberies where the attacker holds the person from behind to neutralize the victim, then steals everything they have on them. We will also need to know how to defend against multiple aggressors.
Our situation is the following. You are pinned against a wall in a closed space and are being choked. The problem with this situation is that we can't really move due to the small space. There are two ways to protect yourself from a chokehold. The first is to try to get the attacker to release the hold, and the second is based on defense. Today, we'll see the second one. The first thing we have to understand is that when we are with our back to a wall and are being choked, the aggressor is exerting a lot of force towards the wall, and our instinct is to protect ourselves. What we will do in this case is this. The most important thing is to bring the biceps up to the ear and turn our body. In this way, this hand and this hand will allow us to get free, and in the heat of the moment, we try to inflict damage so we can get away from the wall. The problem with the wall is that when we are at the mercy of such a force on our neck, our instinct will be to protect ourselves. But what we need to do is to bring our arm up and hit with our elbow to free ourselves from the hold and start hitting the attacker to get out of our position against the wall. This way, if there is another attacker, or if the first attacker starts to hit us, we won't end up stuck against the wall, which is very dangerous, because if we hit the wall after one strike, we are in a very bad position. Here's the main problem with being in such a small space, such as elevators, a stairwell, a bank, etc. The problem is that the blows can easily hit us in the head because, without being able to back up, we can't defend ourselves well. We have a problem in front, but we also have another problem behind. We bring our arm up Turn our body, and by striking with the elbow downwards, we free both hands and start hitting our attacker while getting off the wall. We can also use the wall to hurt the aggressor, such as by throwing them against it. We see all these techniques when we have to work in special circumstances, as well as real environments, because self-defense can be used in everyday life. These self-defense techniques are not made to be used only when we are prepared, they are in case we need to use them in any situation.
We are now going to see one of the most difficult techniques we have in the self-defense program, one which is often used against women. The idea is this: the person is on the ground, the assailant gets on top of them and immobilizes both with their body and hands. This is a situation where the person is completely blocked and helpless. In addition, all the weight is on top in a way which is perpendicular to the wrists. Let's look at the technique step by step. The first thing she has to do is raise this leg to try to block the attacker so that when she throws them down, she will have a point of support. The next step is this: the attacker has all their weight on her wrist, so she makes this movement to make them lose their balance. They are as perpendicular as possible so they can use their weight to immobilize. By moving one hand up and one hand down, she makes them lose this position, and now she can lean on this leg and she's going to stand up to hit the attacker either in the face or in the groin. Now she stands up and the attacker will be in this submissive position while she hits them. Let's go again, face to face. The problem here is that she is on the floor, completely immobilized. Her hands are under their control, meaning she can't hit the attacker, she can't turn, she can't do anything, so the first thing is to get her leg up. The second action is to take away their stability, and the third would be to hit them and turn them around. Now she's going to be able to hit them in the face and groin. This is a very complicated situation, but we have shown here it's possible to make a defense, so it's important to practice as intensely as possible. Do so in this position, i.e. face down, finding out how to move to the other position to hit the aggressor. On this channel, we have already shown how to defend yourself from a strangulation on the floor or from the legs, but this class on defense against being pinned face down on the floor was missing. As always, if you have any questions, leave us a comment below. Let us look at a type of sexual assault where the attacker uses a knife to threaten the person onto their knees to carry out the assault. First, they will likely put the knife to their neck. In this case, the attacker wants something from the victim, not simply just to attack them. The importance here is the threat, so they make the victim get on their knees at this height. This is the problem. Since the knife is on one side, it leaves the other side open. The maneuver we have to execute to defend ourselves is this. And the first thing to notice is that she is going to defend the knife attack from the opposite side of her body. Also note the movements she makes to move her body away from the knife. Completely forget about making maneuvers such as making them drop the knife, passing it in front of you, etc. This is a stressful situation. It might be in the middle of the night, returning home alone, or in a closed environment. Here it's important to move the knife away and block the arm. Block it completely with the arm extended, because if we want to stab them from here, we can move here and even push her to the ground, but the knife won't come close. The second important part, we need to inflict damage as fast as possible to the attacker. To do this, the attacker will usually be much higher and she is much lower than normal, so we need to use the knee to support and create a foothold so we can inflict more damage. Normally the punch will be to the nose. Also keep the arm completely extended, because if the attacker wants to fight, after a few hits the attacker should drop the knife and we can hit the groin area. This way we can completely neutralize the attacker. As a tip, when standing up, she should keep hitting me and not stop hitting to cause damage until the knife is released. Then she can start kicking, punching or fighting how she wants. it's important to understand that the problem with the knife is the sharp edge. If they hold the knife like this, they can slash if they want, giving us no recourse to defend ourselves. Fortunately, using the knife to threaten gives us more time. If they want to attack, they could mutilate or kill us easily. With a threat, they want something else. Sometimes it is something we don't have to give them, or there are other problems such as a third party being present, a child for example. In this case, the most important thing to do in a knife attack, when we're on the ground, before hitting, before moving, before anything else, is to first move the knife away, secondly, cause some damage, thirdly, hit until the knife is dropped, and finally, to be able to stand and start fighting if necessary. If we were to develop the full timeline of the technique, at the end we would need to make sure the knife is removed in case they want to use it to attack again. Another tip is to make sure the attacker doesn't get on the ground and find the knife, because they can regroup and make another attack. What you should want to do is to get as far away as possible or throw the knife down a drain, in the trash, or anywhere they can't get it. Once you get away, then you can call the emergency service.
One of the most complicated and worst situations we can have is when we're on the floor as compared to standing or sitting. Once we are on the floor, we experience an inability to move when in a position where the attacker is mounting you, because they are in the position of control. By putting all their weight on top of our body, our movement is restricted. Today we show you such an attack and how to get out of it. Losing your balance could be from walking over rough terrain, a gap in the ground, falling from somewhere, or being knocked down. The attacker can use this opportunity to climb on top and threaten you. Here's what to do. Okay, let's see this again, showing you each step. The first thing the attacker will do is try to lock her legs, as they can be used to knock their stability. They can't put their foot to the side, but even if they do, there is a solution we will see later. The idea is that when the attacker threatens her like this, she puts herself in a semi-guard position when she is about to be hit. From here, she defends herself and hits the attacker at the same time. She will push by making a bridge with her body so her knee is up, hitting them in the face and groin to neutralize them. You may be asking whether this is a realistic defense, since the weight difference between aggressor and victim can be great, but in reality, this is a system that works. If you do the technique right, there should be no problem. Stay on the ground and raise the attacker's center of gravity as violently as possible. Do it to the side as hard as possible to make them lose stability and have no support. Hitting them and throwing them sideways will also help. It is important to emphasize that one knee has to be up after we have turned the attacker. If the knee is not up, they can use their leg to hit us in the face like this. If the knee is up and the attacker tries to do this, it's going to be much more difficult. Once we have moved position, we have to keep neutralizing the threat. This is one of the most complicated situations nowadays, thanks to the influence of MMA and its use of the ground and pound technique, meaning when someone mounts and hits you. This is one of the easiest and most feasible maneuvers. It's the same whatever sex due to the weight and impact. It can be to counter a choke, counter a jab, counter a straight punch, a knife threat, or any kind of threat. The movement is the same. If you want to learn more techniques and tutorials, you can check out our OneHowTo channel. Here we have lots of attack situations where we provide the most effective ways to get out and protect yourself. We're going to see common situations where someone snatches or tries to snatch your purse or bag. At the same time, these may be useful in situations where someone tries to grab your hair, jacket, or other belongings. Any situation where someone tries to drag or push you. The first problem we have is that it is easy for someone to pull the bag and upset our balance. It's often a self-defense situation with the element of surprise where we are not alerted to the attack. We may think we are prepared to fight, but suddenly someone might come along who has already spotted us and chosen us to be a victim. They will often be prepared to commit the robbery before we even see them. We can provide some tips for the bag itself. There are many ways to carry a bag. If you keep the bag on your side, it gives the robber an advantage to grab it from you. If you keep it crossed over your front, it's very difficult for someone to snatch it from you, so they might not even try. At the same time, when we have the bag at the side, it's better for self-defense because they can't grab and control us by the bag itself. What is the instinct when someone tries to rob us? We usually try to bring the bag closer to us. If she tries to pull it to the other side or go the other way, it's still easy for the robber to take it away or even drop it to the ground. In cases where we have to defend ourselves from a bag snatching, we shouldn't go to the other side. Instead, we should follow the direction of the bag and attack. In many cases, we can see the bag as an element of our defense. When we have the bag on our side like this, we can grab it and use it as a weapon to hit them. However, we don't think this is generally a good option, as our keys, cards and other valuables are in the bag, which can be used to take our car or find our address. We think it is best to keep the bag at our side. When they try to take it, we don't want to try to put our weight on the other side, but to go in their direction and hit them. We can hit the face or the groin a number of times, and once they are immobilized, we can escape. Common factors in these attacks include the fact that thieves are learning all the time what they can use to their advantage in a mugging or what we can use to defend ourselves. They can use the bag to upset our balance, but it's likely that if we try to run away, they can use the bag to attack us easily. Instead, if we turn to hit them, we can have the advantage to neutralize them. The objects we carry can make the difference in our self-defense techniques. For example, you can take a look at our channel for videos on how to defend yourself with a pen. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
We are going to show you some basic techniques to defend yourself against someone attacking with a stick. It's important to note that the stick represents many possible weapons which can be held like a stick. They can be used in various situations and street attacks. For example, the attacker could use a baton, a broken chair leg, a crowbar, or many other possible objects. We have also brought a motorcycle helmet, which can be used to hit similarly as one would hit with a stick. The attacker could also use smaller objects such as a bottle. This last one is a common weapon if involved in a fight in a bar or club, since attackers often use what is closest to them in these situations. The self-defense techniques will be the same as for a stick. These objects are often easier to find than a knife, which can be difficult to obtain. You can imagine it's a metal bar, an umbrella, or anything which can be picked up from the place you're in. The key point to remember is these weapons will inflict more damage than a punch or similar type of blow. The stick provides a big problem in terms of self-defense: distance. Using a stick allows the attacker to put distance between you, which is to their great advantage. The best defense against a stick attack is in the approach. If you see someone with such an object, we need to see it as a possible threat of an attack from above, from the side, on the legs, or straight on. The first reflex we should have is to get closer to the attacker. Today we're going to show you how to defend yourself against a blow to the head with a stick. Your attacker can hit with the middle of the stick, but the worst situation is when they hit with the tip. Generally speaking, your reflex is to protect by stepping back, something which can cause more damage. Now we show you how to defend against such an attack. Okay, very good. The first thing she did was to protect her head by creating this triangle with her arms. It depends on which system in Krav Maga, as there are various experts with differing opinions. Some say you should only use one arm, while others say you should use both. Some say you need to come from the inside, others the outside, but in principle, the basic techniques are the same. So, against a stick attack, the defense is the following whether the weapon is coming from the inside or the outside. You need to make the triangle of protection to protect yourself against the stick breaking a bone. With the triangle, whether being attacked from inside or out, the blow will slide over the body. The only weak spot is being hit in the middle, but this is why it moves slightly to the side. It's important to keep the chin as low as possible. If the head protrudes, the stick sliding down the arm will end on the top of it. Don't do anything and we will try to hit her in the middle of the head. Now, with the slide defense, she can dodge the blow. She will then step forward and take as long a stride as possible towards the attacker so a blow won't hurt as much. If the attacker is far away, they will hurt her. If she takes a small step, she will be hit here, which is less bad, but when taking a long stride, they won't be able to hit her. Basically, we need the slide defense with a long stride, so once she gets to this spot, she will be able to hit once, twice, 3 times, and then she can disarm them and even use the stick to defend herself. The defense against a stick attack can be from the inside, but if the attack comes from one side, she will come in from the other. She can then hit with her knee to disarm them and get the weapon free. We also need to see what happens if there is a lateral attack, if it comes from the back, whether the stick is horizontal or vertical, or if the attacker is hitting you while on the ground. All of these situations are important to practice as stick and other weapon attacks are very common. Here's the end of our video. Don't forget to share any questions in the comments and we'll see you next time.